So, good evening, Ali and Mike. Thank you both so much for joining us this evening. We really do appreciate you taking part in this service and sharing a little of your story with us. Thank you. And I know that your parent, little Noah, who will be 1 in April, but Ali, you yourself came to this meeting, this service back in March of 2018, didn't you? I wonder if you would both tell us a little about your story and what brought you there.
Yeah, certainly. Well, we had absolute joy in 2017 when we found out that we were pregnant with identical twin boys, and we'd always wanted 2 children and we were absolutely over the moon. We had lots of appointments. We were told we were deemed high risk, so we had plenty of scans and plenty of support with the hospital, and sadly we did get as far as 19 weeks, and unfortunately I went into early labour and we lost them. We named them Harrison and Jake. Harrison was born first. We got to spend lots of time with them. We had a lovely sanctuary called the Hope Butler Suite, where we could obviously spend some time with them. We even had sort of an area that our family came and visited, just to sort of meet the boys and just really sort of come and be with us, really. And it was a quiet area, nobody else was around, which was wonderful. Stephen obviously joined us and did a wonderful blessing and just really held our hand and supported us in whatever we needed at that moment when our world come crashing down.
Yeah.
We were following that pregnancy. We were quite fortunate to fall pregnant again the following year, and again, with it being a pregnancy after loss, we were closely monitored by the hospital, regular scans, and luckily it was just a singleton this time, so a bit of a less risk. So we continued through that pregnancy, reaching milestones, and we hit the 19-20 week mark, which we'd lost the twins, and all seemed to be going quite well. And it was 24 weeks when you were just out in town, weren't you? And your waters broke and rushed into hospital, and we got told that that a big decision was needed to be made. That we still had a heartbeat, but there was no fluid. So with it being 24 weeks, the decision was made to transfer Ali down to Brighton Hospital, because they're a tiny baby unit that they could potentially save our baby. And not long after being down there, sadly we lost the heartbeat on a regular scan while we were there, and that night we had to give birth to little baby Zach that was born sleeping.
And it was almost going into another room that was very similar to the Hope Butler Suite, people showing us round what we needed to do and having this surreal feeling that we'd already done it 10 months previously.
Reliving the nightmare.
Just couldn't believe it. And to make matters worse, it was a week before our wedding, so it really was an absolute nightmare. But again, we had absolute wonderful care. We had loads of people supporting us. I mean, we couldn't thank anybody anymore, really. We were just so grateful.
The support offered, through the bereavement care at the hospital, and also the SANS groups, the support groups out there, all is exactly what we needed at that time, and we're forever grateful for them.
I was going to ask you what did help, and also maybe what hindered, what got in the way, what was difficult for you after Harrison and Jake, and then after Zach. What?
I think first of all was this remembrance service. Funny enough, this is the very first thing I ever went to, and it really opened my eyes to I wasn't alone, to getting everybody there lighting their own candle for their own baby. I couldn't believe it. It wasn't just me. And you just opened up to the person sitting next to you straight away, like you'd been long lost friends. It was just so heartfelt and unbelievable, and that's why I started thinking there is other people that are experiencing this. You aren't alone. And for me, that was the biggest thing, because I just, before that, I'd felt isolated. You know, that heavy burden of that grief just made me feel that it was only me that this was happening to. You know, I was never going to be able to have a family of our own, having lost now 3 babies.
Was that feeling when you come home and you close that front door and you're just alone at home? You haven't been able to bring that baby home with you, which you were expecting to, and being alone with yourself, and that isolated is a perfect word for it. Finding out about help out there, like the support groups and these services that allow us to dedicate that time to focus on our babies. And there's so many days, all you're trying to do is get through the day, and you're occupying your mind, and you're occupying yourself, and you're really just burying the feelings, and they've got to come out. You've got to grieve, and it's not before you speak to people and other people that have been in that situation that you know that that's normal, and you just feel like you're not on your own. That's it.
Yeah. Can I ask, Mike, to you in particular, how was it as a dad? You talk about support and help. Was that just, did you feel that was mainly there for Ali? Did that meet your needs too?
I didn't think about it for a long time, to be perfectly honest. I was fully focused on Ali and getting her well. You know, the reason for her going through the early pregnancy, early labour, had knock-on effects, and I just felt like I needed to be there for her, which I didn't even consider myself for a long time, to be honest. And I suppose on that track of thinking, no, there wasn't the necessary upfront support for dads. Very much focused. I mean, I would get phone calls, and you know, even a phone call is quite isolating a way. Like you just sat trying to listen or trying to get any vibes of what's happening from the local midwife on the end of the phone at the doctors or something, and you feel left out of it a little bit. But you know, they were my boys, and they are my boys, and I'm, you know, a big advocate now for speaking about my boys, and it goes on to realizing that the dads do need help. I've reached out, and I've been in touch with SANS myself, and the national SANS and local SANS, and created a small group of a football team, and which is dedicated to dads, uncles, grandfathers, or brothers and best friends, all in that small support group. It's not just your immediate family with the support group, it's the people around you that you lean upon, and you need them people around you. And if you can go out, and if you're not comfortable with sitting in a room around a circle and, you know, I'm Mike and I've lost 3 babies, you know, it's not for everybody, but put on an evening of football where people can go and kick a ball with other people that have been in that situation. It's such a safe place to talk about it, and open, and people ask the questions, ask their names, and ask your story, and you can do so with them, and you start realising you aren't the only person out there, and there is other peer-to-peer support rather than just the official channels of on the end of a call line or once a month. You know, that we've got a WhatsApp group on your mobile phone, and you can reach out to these people anytime you want, and they're always there for you. And it's become an amazing part of my life, and some of my best friends are now in this group now.
That's incredible, isn't it?
So people come from so many different walks of life. It's quite refreshing, actually, to meet someone you might never ever have met in life otherwise, and you can relate to them in many other ways, as well as just having a loss.
Yeah. Oh, that's great to hear about. And thinking, if I can move you on to just thinking about Noah, and I see all your pictures behind you, I can see Jake and Harrison and Zach and Noah. I think you both holding Noah. Can I ask you about your pregnancy with him, and how did you manage that pregnancy, having lost 3 little boys before? How did you find the courage to try again, and how did you cope with the pregnancy?
Well, it definitely took a long time. You just felt so vulnerable. I had to change my mindset, because every day I thought, I'm going to lose this baby, and I just thought that isn't helping the baby at all. And a lot of people had sort of suggested hypnobirthing, and that is one of the things that actually really helped me change that mindset, with just positive visualizations, listening to calming music. Honestly, I just needed to do something proactive myself, and there was lots of different things in Noah's pregnancy that were very different. So we just sort of sat down and said, right, okay, well, let's book antenatal classes, because we haven't done that before. Let's just put 2 feet in and just sort of go for it, really. The pregnancy after loss group with Emma was absolutely wonderful. I mean, I just needed that extra, you can do it, just 1 foot in front of the other, just the next appointment, and just to speak to the other parents that had actually got their rainbow babies, was like, oh, you can actually get a baby out of pregnancy. It was really hard, but it was.
So the pregnancy after loss support group was through SANS?
Yes, yeah, that was once a month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at the Christchurch in Tunbridge
And that
Wells.
was slowly, people started not coming because they had gone into labour and had their babies, and your name was almost like bumping up month on month. You were becoming that closer to that target at the end of the,
which was just so, yeah, it's so exciting. I mean, initially I went when I was very early. I think I was maybe 10 weeks, and that's what was so good about it. It was like, this is a really safe place. Even if you're just pregnant or thinking about becoming pregnant, just come to this group and be able to talk about all your insecurities and fears about it. And then to see sort of all these big bumps turn into babies, and then your bump gets bigger, and then all of a sudden I was the biggest bump in the group. It was just amazing. Yeah, absolutely amazing.
And how did you manage? So many people are worried about coming back to the hospital. So many memories at the hospital, aren't there? And the scan rooms and the staff. And how did you manage that?
Well, you hugely supported us with that, Ruth, I must admit, because that was such a big, pain, wasn't it, to actually think about having all the scans and having all the appointments. And I think to actually pull that together, which with your support was just brilliant, because it meant that we weren't waiting too long for the next appointment. If we had to see the consultant afterwards, there wasn't too much of a gap. So that was brilliant. Jackie, the sonographer, was absolutely wonderful. It really felt that everybody just really wanted us to bring this baby home, which was wonderful.
I think as well as was surrounding ourselves with positivity at home. By being through them dark days, we'd also kind of found some things that we didn't need in life, and maybe there was people around us that weren't quite the right people to have in our life. So just getting almost rid of the negativity, and like every night we would make the time you would go and have your bath, because you in your mind you really wanted that water birth, and so you would put yourself in that mind and go through your hypnobirthing, and we were priority, you were priority, and it helped us so much.
I think connecting with the bump as well, and just feeling him in the water and feeling him kick, and just talking to him and saying, I'm looking after you now, you're going to come here safely, and I just feel his strength, and I really loved that.
Oh, I remember you well, both of you, in that pregnancy, and it was a joy to hear. It's very difficult, isn't it, managing that fear and daring to hope and to look forward. And just to finish, I wonder how you would say that this has impacted both of you on creating a lasting legacy for your boys, all 4 of them?
I think personally, we're obviously going to talk to Noah. He's going to learn all about his brothers. It's going to be a big part of his life as well. But also, like I mentioned before about the football team, that it's become a lot more than just a football team. Obviously, we go out there for our reason. We wear their names across our heart, and we play in their honour every year on their anniversary. Every person's anniversary gets a special moment, and they get that opportunity to hold that minute's silence or minute's applause, and that's going to be continued through. But through the football team, it's brought so many dads together and families together, because it's the wives and girlfriends on the sidelines that are talking and messaging each other now, and they've become friends. And just the fact that my boys inspired me to set up this team, and now this team has helped over 40 families so far, and unfortunately, we're going to keep getting new members coming along, and if we can continue helping these, that is one little ripple in the ocean that my boys have had, and they've had that effect. And I'll ever be grateful, and I'll talk about my boys forever, and I'll never let that stop me. I'm so proud to wear their names.
Thank you. We're all of us encouraged by hearing your story this evening, and to hear about all 4 of your boys. So thank you both very, very much for sharing that, and for all you do to support others as well. It's really good to hear from both of you this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.